Jesus Freak here. Now, I have other hymnals than these, but I can't find them right now. At least one of them I have scanned into my computer beyond ones that are here, that some of them I have scanned in as well. And between an Episcopal hymnal, Calvary Chapel hymnal, and my hymnals are going to be knocked over by the time my cat gets out of the way. He's sitting there purring at me. Lutheran hymnal. Presbyterian hymnal. It's driving me up a wall here. Here, I'm trying to work around my cat because she decided right after I started up. Ah, there she goes. Baptist hymnal. This one's loose leaf. I've mentioned I need to do something about the binder because the rings are bent. And it's not a normal 8 by 10, so 8.5 by 11, so. Two Methodist hymnals. I have a third on my computer. Ooh. Sorry, kitty. And two non-denominational hymnals. I get a pretty wide selection. I can read music, even though I can't necessarily play it. Gotta watch those books, they're gonna fall over. I'll take care of that after the video's over. Just the chaos from having a cat. Now, one thing that galls me about some of these hymnals is that if they've changed some of the words, they won't always tell you. For example, look at the chorus here. Making sure that you can see the whole thing while you see me. Now, same thing in our hymnal. And I'm like, what's the point? At least if you're going to change the words, mark it altered, which sometimes they do. For example, J89. This one specifically says altered in 1989. So what was altered? The line here, love divine is reigning o'er us, binding all within its span. Yeah, it was censored because it wasn't politically correct as it was originally written. I'll show you the same thing in this hymnal where they didn't do that kind of stuff because they didn't do that in the 1960s. The original line is, Father love is reigning o'er us, brother love binds man to man. Gee, that's sexist, isn't it? I don't give a damn. I don't think most people here do. That's just how the language was until about the 1980s. I don't see the point in trying to whitewash over this stuff. And in fact, I'd be willing to intentionally use stuff I know would be politically problematic. Men and children everywhere. Can't have that, can we? Now, I'm a fan of older hymns. In fact, one of the reasons I like this hymnal here, other than the fact that I grew up on it before our church switched to this one, is it has a lot of old hymns in it. Some of which may be less familiar to some people here. But it's also got a lot of familiar ones. But, of course, the same is true with this one. United Methodists have tended to be, we like a mix of the old and the new. And that's what you find. And you'd think someone like me from my age would be more into the new ones. I'm actually more into the old ones. Though, once you get out of the, low church zone into the higher church zone, like with the Lutheran, a lot of the stuff in this hymnal is unfamiliar to me. And this is an old hymnal. This is from, I think, 1930. Whereas this one from 1990 does have a lot of unfamiliar stuff, but has more familiar stuff than that one from 1930. You'll find a mix in this Episcopal one too, although it's much more high church leaning. And this too, even back in 85 when this was, yes, I know it says 82 on the cover. It's actually published in the 85. But there's a lot of high church stuff in here, which is alien to me. But at the same time, there's a lot of more familiar stuff too. The Methodist hymnals that I have are sort of a compromise between this and the more generic ones I have. The chaos of having a fur ball. Now, I've been known to tweak the words to hymns a bit if I think I can improve on them. It's nothing new. John Wesley tweaked some Isaac Watts hymns. What I won't do is neuter them. If something has something that's not exactly politically correct, I'm going to leave it that way. But, for example, I know what the original words to Rock of Ages Cleft for Me are. But I prefer an altered version. Because it's what I'm used to, for one, because it sounds better. In fact, the version I'm more familiar with is the one in this hymnal. Because actually it was in this hymnal. Scrambled the numbers in my mind. They cut out a whole stanza, actually part of one and part of another, and changed the last line of the first. Now, there's actually a different tune for Rock of Ages that I like better, but if I were to use that instead of the one everyone's familiar with, I'd probably have some riots going on. Anyway, Jesus freak out. And if anyone wants to ask me about hymns, what I think of this hymn or that hymn, I'm willing to answer.